Hi guys, I kind of wanted to talk about the RAM shortage. As you know, it's affected all parts of the tech world. Like, it's literally affected everyone, right? And this entire situation is in itself kind of funny because around like 2021, 2022, there was an excess of RAM. The RAM companies were making too much RAM, and it was like a problem for them because they just had a lot of RAM and a lot of it was going to waste. So RAM prices were kind of low then. Now, flashback to today, RAM prices are crazy, and it's all because of one guy, right? Sam Altman. He like placed an order for RAM like around like last year. That was just like crazy, It was like crazy big order. It was like more RAM than the companies even had. So a lot of them had to, like turn away from the consumer market. Some of them like altogether, like Micron, they don't sell RAM anymore, which is horrible for the consumer because there's like three whole memory companies in the entire PC gaming market, right? So yeah, that happened. It was a big loss. And then, of course, the RAM prices increased due to this absolutely massive order from OpenAI. You know, uh, yeah, like a $150 64 gigabyte 232 gigabyte stick RAM set now costs $750, right? So that's obviously quite something. Um, yeah, so there are a lot of bad things because of this. Like, first things first, PC gaming is now super inaccessible, Like, a lot of people who are planning to switch to PC or use PCs or, like buy a PC, they can't do that anymore because the price of PCs have, like, really shot up because of the shortage, right? And of course, it's not just like PC gamers who are affected. Like, people who like use consoles are affected too. Like, the PlayStation 6 is getting delayed, which is horrible news for the 5 people who were actually planning to play the PlayStation 6. And the Steam machine, more importantly, the Steam machine, the price of that will most likely be a lot higher, which really sucks. So anything tech, it's gonna get more expensive because of this, you can be sure, which really sucks. And like, I read an article somewhere that says RAM prices may never return to normal as AI gets more popular, which is definitely another negative thing, right? Because it's just really bad for anybody who wants to buy a computer at all. Because if you bought a PC back in like when things were slightly cheaper, like 2021 and 2022, like I did, you could be getting like a really cheap PC for like a pretty good deal, especially with the RAM prices. And if you bought a 30 series card, 16 gigs of RAM, you could be looking like at a PC of like $1,500, but now they're like a lot more expensive now. Like, something, let's just say if you wanted a 40 series card and 16 gigs of RAM, you would be looking at something way more expensive, right, than something you would buy in 2021. um and of course, all of this, it's kind of suspicious because it's coming as companies are pushing for cloud computing and gaming. And this whole setup, it works very well for them. Like, I've seen a lot of Amazon Luna, advertisements. I wonder why that is, as like the RAM prices are increasing. Well, I don't think the RAM shortage, is because of the push for more cloud gaming and cloud, computing. I do think that it certainly helps the companies that are pushing for more cloud gaming and cloud computing. Um, you know, which I guess is also kind of bad because I really like to experiment and use computers and stuff. So yeah, that's definitely a bad thing. Um, And of course, massive consequences for anybody who even wants to, like try out PC gaming or gaming in general, or even like just use a computer at all. So all of that kind of sucks. But there is actually some hope. There's some like good stuff because of the RAM shortages. First things first, it forces game devs to optimize their games better. I'm looking at you, Activision. Like, there's no way that the COD is like 700 gigabytes of storage. There's like no way. And it just forces like game devs to optimize their games, which is something we desperately need in the gaming market. So the people with 1080 Ti's can continue using them. The refurbished market, it's gonna go crazy, right? If you own a computer with some RAM and you're looking for some easy money and you don't really have to use a computer for a while, then you can sell your RAM sticks and make an easy buck. Like, yeah, that's a pretty good thing, right? Like, I know with my computer, I would probably never like sell the RAM because I use the RAM every day. But if I was at a stage where I didn't really need to use my computer at all, I would like sell the RAM in there like a heartbeat because of like how good of an asset it is. It may even be a better asset than gold. I wouldn't bet on that, but like, RAM is like a really good asset there, especially in this AI age. Like, yeah, people are trying to overcome this in really creative ways. For example, there are some Russian people who have been trying to create their own RAM, which, there's no warranty on it. It may not work the best, but all power to them, right? Like, just respect for at least trying to create your own RAM. Like, a lot of respect for that. And it's also kind of good for the environment because there is less e-waste. E-waste is a pretty big issue. There's like e-waste everywhere, and now people are going to be more conscious of the RAM. Buying new computers less, all that stuff, and like it'll be somewhat good for the environment, which is pretty good. It's really fun seeing how people are like finding ways to overcome the whole RAM shortage too. That's a pretty fun thing to watch, especially for someone who already has their own sticks of RAM, or as I like to call them, bars of gold. Yeah, so basically, like the whole RAM situation, it's getting really out of hand and really crazy. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think it'll resolve, right? Until like 2027. So if you're looking to buy a computer in 2026, I'm very sorry for you, but yeah, the prices are going to be very out of hand, right? Especially now that there's less competition too, because Micron is out of the game, which sucks. I mean, like, it's kind of a bit weird how like the AI companies are buying so much RAM, right? Because they should probably be focusing on making more efficient data centers and more efficient computers, because you're not going to have a limitless supply of RAM forever. Eventually when you're trying to grow, you're gonna like need to use something else that's more efficient. So they should probably be investing a lot of money into like more like efficient ways to use memory in their data centers, which would probably be good for us because you get more RAM, and good for them because they get a lot more it'll be more efficient to use and it'll be less money for them. So yeah, I mean, I think the best thing we can really do is like just hope this whole like RAM thing gets sorted out, possibly in 2026. I doubt it. It'll most likely go until 2027, which, you know what, that's fine. I just kind of feel sorry for anybody who's trying to buy a new console or like a new computer. Like, I feel really sorry for you. Yeah, that's just basically about it. Bye.